This is a video chart presentation of GeoFinance Corp, brought to you by Position Media Group. GeoFinance is a pink sheet stock trading our ticker GEFI. You can see right off it's a low volume stock, 6,000 shares traded today. Overall though, chart trying to give a look of a big rounded bottom. For that reason alone, I think this is something to keep an eye on. It's also a good example of how to read low volume charts. Technical traders tend to lean towards things like the moving averages, the long-term indicators that are exponentially smooth, such as the MACD, the PPO, the TRIX, because they'll factor out some of the volatility of low volume share activity. See the MACD trending back towards zero. That's a very nice look. The zero line is often referred to as the money line because when the MACD trends to it and then breaks through it, a rise in share price often happens. So you can see this is basically right at that point, trying to bust through it right now. 12 and 26 EMAs right there on the money line. So keep an eye on that for continuation through it because it's a very bullish thing. PPO, very similar, just now breaking through zero. Again, bullish look. ADX trending upward. We're going to look for a break of 30 on this. A break of 30 shows a very strong trend. You can see it approached it and turned down. Right now hitting it again. So we're going to look for that to continue. Try to put together an overall upward channel, something along these lines, to show that there's some true strength being developed in a trend. The MFI is a good example of what can happen with some of these indicators, and it's difficult to get a good read from them. You see the volatility and whipsaw action that can go on with indicators like the MFI. So even though it's up high and that's a bullish thing, I don't put as much faith in it until the volume starts to stabilize, so you get a little bit better of a reading from it. Accumulation distribution reiterates that idea. You can see what happens to it, a basic flat line, although it does look like it's trying to find a bottom right through here and trying to curl at this point. So we'll just look for some sort of continuation with that, start to oscillate, trend upward. Shaken money flow is a little bit more reliable. It is based on the accumulation distribution, but it's weighted a little bit differently. Overall, giving an uptrend. I'd like to see that because even though selling pressure is still dominant at this point, it's losing some strength. Buying pressure is coming back into this. So you watch for this to continue to trend upward, break through zero to show that buying pressure has become dominant. CCI also in an upward trend at this point. Just look for that trend line to hold. In the full stow, what you look for is to try and get up over top of 50 in trend. You look for uptrends to happen and ultimately break through 50 because that's showing a lot of positive momentum coming into the stock. So you can see right now, right around the 50 marker, what we'll look for is just another turn, make a higher low, rotation, back up through 50 to show more momentum behind this play. TRIX, much like the MACD, very good long-term indicator. You can see trending back towards zero. Right now, basically at that marker. So what you look for is that upward channel again. And right now, you want to see it break through zero and start to trend above it. It's very bullish if that happens. See RSIs right now holding over top of 50, all close together. That's something that I like to see. Again, this is a momentum indicator. It shows you how fast it can whipsaw. Just a little bit of selling pressure right through here, and it took the RSI 7 from over top of 90 all the way down to around 35. So it can move very quickly. Again, you look at this as stabilized with regular volume, and you get a better reading of it. But at this point, it looks like it's trying to put together an uptrend. And again, much like other indicators, holding over top of 50 is bullish. So that's what we want to see continue. There's several nice things about these candles. Again, you can see it's low volumes, traded 6,000 shares today. That's somewhat average for it, you can tell, but it does have the capacity of putting together higher volume days. You can see through here almost 500,000 shares traded. Through here over this 3 months, it probably averaged somewhere just shy of 100,000 shares a day. So it does have the capability of putting together regular volume. What I like about it is you can see these Bollinger Bands are starting to curl. When they started to curl here, you can see movement to the downside. Started to see them gap a little bit. They started to give a feel that they were going to roll downward. You can see they did. Price per share came along with it. Through here, this is even a little bit more of a solid rotation upward. The price per share is holding right now to the middle to the upper side of it. So it has a very nice look based on these Bollinger Bands as they're trying to put together a new uptrend. Another thing to keep an eye on is these moving averages. Moving averages don't like to trend together. When they all pull together, it's something that says keep an eye on me. A larger move in share price may be coming. You see the stock actually gapped down this morning, closed back up, pulled back over top of the 50-day moving average. There's some support established right there at 4 cents that it pulled above. You see it held through this area. I actually cover it right up where it held that price level for several months. So there is some support there at 4 cents. Gets a very bottom support down here around 3 cents. What I'd like to see hold is right here around 3.5. You can see it was a little bit of resistance on this dip below it. Did climb back above it. As soon as it did that, it had that strong volume day. You can see what kind of action can happen with these low volume stocks. I'm assuming this is a relatively low float play because low float, low volume plays can move very fast. This was probably a 75% move or so. Of course, it pulled back some. It's reiterating the idea of resistance at a nickel. So right now, I'd be looking for this to try and continue to make this uptrend. See, it's trying to make higher lows. I'd look for this 3.5 cent mark to hold as a support level. Any dips below, you want to see it hold 3 cents, continue to pull itself right back up. Establish that as a true bottom where investors will see that as a value opportunity. and it'll pull the share price back up. So they can see it close back over 3.5 cents. I want to see that established as a strong support level. As I mentioned, trading over top of the 50-day moving average, this blue line coming in there. The 200-day is right there, just under the nickel. That's going to add to the resistance. The most bullish charts are trading over top of the 50 and 200-day moving average, and both of them are trending upward. So GEFI is still right at that point where it's kind of a make or break to really try and go into full-blown bull mode. And that's another thing I like about this chart. The lower indicators are giving hints of that trying to happen. Some support levels are definitely establishing themselves, and a clear resistance is identified. If it can break through that nickel and hold above it, especially if it can get more volume behind it, these indicators are going to continue to roll and stay to the upper halves and show themselves as very bullish. Resistance to the upper side is going to be somewhat sporadic. You can see through here 6.5 cents, a little bit more there at 8, but I don't see it as stiffening up until it gets to 9 cents. I'm not putting that as a target. I'm just identifying where the next strong area of resistance is going to be. That was a pretty good support level back through here. It was a resistance level right in through here. There's not much in the way. It's all secondary resistance until it gets to that. So I'd have my eye on this for volume to pick up, to break through that nickel. On any sort of pullbacks, if it breaks through, I want to see it hold that nickel as support. That's classic TA. And if it does, most importantly, what it's doing is continuing to establish higher lows, and then putting together something along these lines is what you'll look for. Strong upward channel. If that can happen, it can trend up that way, and it'll eventually end up meeting up with that resistance around 9 cents. As we always say, it starts with baby steps, though, and the baby steps in this case include holding the very bottom support at 3 cents, trying to continue to hold the higher low and establish a support level at 3.5 cents or 4 cents, and the break of this resistance at a nickel. Again, that'll put it trading over top of all the moving averages. That'll pull a 50-day up. The 50-day will break through the 200-day. That's called a golden cross. That's a very bullish indication of long-term upward momentum. So there's a lot of good things going on with the GeoFinance chart. It's one I'll be adding to my watch list for these key components to happen. As always, it's merely my interpretation of the GEFI chart. To learn more about the company, investors are encouraged to visit PositionMediaGroup.com or the company's website at geofinancecorp.com. Thank you for watching, and trade smart.